Today on Hampton Roads Business Weekly, it's the business of alcohol.
From beer to wine to a unique business making money, showcasing both.
Raise a glass. Hampton Roads Business Weekly starts right now.
Hello and welcome. I'm Cheryl Tan.
And I'm Zach Miller. Welcome to Hampton Roads Business Weekly. Today we're focusing on the business of alcohol by highlighting some of our best segments from previous shows about beer, wine, and more.
And we begin with Bill Spence from St. George Brewery. St. George is one of the first microbreweries in Hampton Roads, and we talk with Bill about how the local beer landscape has changed in 18 years. We are talking about the business of beer with Bill Spence, the president of St. George Brewing Company in Hampton. Thanks so much for sharing your story with us today. As the longest operating microbrewery in Hampton Roads, you have quite a bit of experience in this industry. 18 years. You started as a hobby brewer.
Right. And basically the original company started as a brew on premise over in Virginia Beach, and that allowed me to go and utilize the brewing equipment there instead of having my own brewing staff and going from that one point.
In 1998, you established St. George as a company. You went all in and you said, I'm going to make this into a business. Why did you make that decision?
At that point in time, the Hampton Roads area was still very much a beer backwater type arrangement compared to other places like the Northwest or Northern Virginia, stuff like that. So we had to sit down there and look at producing more into a microbrewing operation instead of a BOP, a brew on premise. Mm-hmm. So we started to actually focus into producing the beer and then selling to the distributor and who sells to the retailer.
We've been talking about SB 604, Senate Bill 604 in
Correct.
2013. It kind of changed the game for microbreweries.
It changed the whole landscape because now, before I can only give you a 2-ounce sample by state ABC laws.
Right.
Now I can actually sell you a pint of beer that you can consume on premise. And then it becomes more of a destination. Now people want to come and seek out your location because they want to see where it's being produced at. They want to see and talk to the people that produce it. So it becomes more of a tight-knit interrelationship that now people can come in, they can see where it's been brewed at, they can talk to the folks, and they can consume it right there.
It seems more like a community business where you can say, come into my shop, have a beer, enjoy it, and then learn more about your store.
And pretty much so. When you take a look at, in the old days, you had a tavern in every corner that people would sit down there, and that was their, mingling place that they go and get their beer and talk to their friends. It's becoming more and more the same way here, because a lot of places you go to the Northwest, and you can't throw a rock without hitting a little, brewery of some sort.
Right.
And and it's coming right like that around here. In the Hampton Roads area, when you sit there and take a look at, 5 years ago, we probably had it, just enough breweries to own your hand. Now I don't have enough hands and fingers to count.
Right, sure. And as a long-standing brewery owner, what would you say to them? How would you help them find some success knowing what you know now?
Have a good business plan. Yeah. Know that you're not going to make money day one because the expenses are going to keep going until at some point in time you reach a curve. The size of our plant, we're about a 5,000 barrel capacity. We're about 4,000 barrels here. So, I'm not, hitting the ceiling yet, but, I do have some, growth. A lot of places start out and they think too small, and after a couple of years, they realize that they've got themselves painted into a corner, and it's hard to either do a build out in their present location, or they have to go and find another location and new equipment because they've completely outgrown it.
Right. Well, you were talking to me about how the little tank you use, that one over there, so small compared to the giant ones you have right behind us. But the cost difference is also quite large.
It is, and particularly as when you look at the number of breweries that are coming in existence and planning, there's a lot more suppliers that are now coming on the scene that will sell you these type of tanks. whether or not they be, Chinese manufactured or American manufactured. But the business has changed greatly. It's just being able to sit there and see what's happened within the Hampton Roads area. It's enjoyable to sit there and say you're one of the old hands and you've seen a lot of things come and go. Basically with my own history within the company.
Right.
But also just to see how the landscape has changed, the number of breweries that have come on to being, and the number that are still coming in.
Right. It's still a community.
It is. Each one, we brewers, we know all the brewers and stuff like that. While it's business, it still is more of a family. We recognize that we're in to make some money, but we're also to make a good product and have it recognized by people around us.
Bill, thank you so much.
Cheryl, thank you.
We're going inside O'Connor's Brewery next on Hampton Roads Business Weekly.
It's something that I have a passion for and that I want to exude to the staff, because at the end of the day, I can't get everything done myself and I depend on them. And that's why the company culture is, let's sit back and have a beer at the end of the day and talk.
Kevin, we're here at O'Connor Brewing, a space that you guys moved into a little over a year ago.
Correct.
How did you come up with the idea to start your own brewery?
I always, like my dad said, I always had an expensive taste in alcohol. I was drinking craft beer at a very young age, but my first year at Radford, still drinking good beers. I ran into this store over in Blacksburg, vintage cellar, and I was going in there every week getting beers, and finally the guy said, why don't you come in here all the time, why don't you make your own beer?
Right.
And I told him, I said, I never knew you could do that. And that's how it started. I started home brewing, and that was 1995, and I was home brewing all the way up until I opened up.
Did you take any classes to do it, learn it online, self-taught?
Self-taught mainly, and then the School of Hard Knocks. I came home that summer and I worked for Steamship Brewing Company, which is right down here on 24th Street.
Yep.
I learned a lot on the production side there, and I worked for St. George Brewing Company over in Hampton.
Yep. So 5 years ago, you're a couple blocks down the street, getting your start there. How has it kind of progressed? So you got things going, you decide that growth is that next stage. How do you guys decide to do that?
Well, it was kind of forced upon us. We had the ability to sit back and run out of capacity. We started bottling over there.
Yep.
We couldn't store bottles. We couldn't store all the grain. So we needed to find a bigger space. We already had good circulation and good distribution. Other markets wanted us. We were at capacity. We needed to grow. So I just kind of sat back and said, okay, we're doing X amount in volume. Let's triple it. Let's build a facility to triple it so we're not overwhelmed. It's going to allow us to make new beers and have fun again.
The community aspect of growing a business is something that you are really trying to be a part of it.
Of course, that is our mantra.
And to bring people in here of all different walks, what is it like knowing that you're one of the pioneers to be able to do that?
Well, I look at Ale Works up in Williamsburg, my buddy Jeff Logan. Now, he wasn't the original brewer, and my friends over at St. George.
Sure.
They were really the pioneers. St. George is the second oldest brewery. Legend up in Richmond, the oldest brewery in Virginia. Star Hill. I've learned a lot from these guys. I look up to these guys. Being a pioneer, maybe in this little market, this little niche over here, I don't really think about it too much. I really don't sit back and say, man, this is something that I've done, but I have seen some of the people come behind me. I think Justin over at River Beach Brewing, I still can't call it River for some reason,
right.
But he's doing a great job, and we're all doing well. Porter over at Smart Mouth, we're all having fun. And the great thing about our business is that we can all sit down at the end of the day and have a beer together.
How important is that fun aspect in business?
I want people to come in and enjoy what they do here, be passionate about what they're doing. We're making beer at the end of the day. We're not over here, surgery, building, constructing the next new car, which will kind of be cool too. But it's something that I have a passion for and that I want to exude to the staff, because at the end of the day, I can't get everything done myself and I depend on them. And that's why the company culture is, let's sit back and have a beer at the end of the day and talk.
If someone is watching this and thinking about maybe starting a business, growing a business, what's the one piece of advice that you would give them?
Don't give up. If failure comes your way, failure should never ever be an option. But if you're always going to run through hurdles, you're always going to have these bumps in the road. If you truly are passionate about what you do, and there is, even if it's just a small little market, stick with it. I believe the money will always show up. I feel firmly about that. I had so many hiccups, late nights, still to this day, worry, but I'm not worrying about the things that I used to worry about.
Right.
I'm worried how we're going to expand even further, and do I have enough time in the day to do that kind of stuff? And
no matter the size of the business, you're always going to have something happen.
Exactly.
It's how you deal with it.
Just pick yourself up and keep moving. If you keep moving forward, it's all going to be behind you in a minute. It's never going to stay with you. So just shut it off, get back up on your feet, and keep moving forward.
Perfect. Coming up, imagine making a decision regarding your business, but not being able to see the results of that for 10 years. It's a challenge the Williamsburg Winery faces, and it's next on Hampton Roads Business Weekly.
First and foremost, be passionate about what you're doing. Believe in it with every ounce of your being. Share that passion.
Patrick, congratulations on being named Entrepreneur of the Week.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for letting us hang out with you here at the Williamsburg Winery. We've got a beautiful locale here, but in 1983 it was just farmland, and I know that your father turned it into what it is today.
That's correct.
Talk a little bit about that process for him.
It was fun. Father came to this country as a foreign exchange student in the early 60s and fell in love with the United States. Became a citizen, and so Mom and Dad looked at Washington State, Virginia, South Africa, and Australia, and settled on a small farm in Williamsburg, Virginia, quote, the one they couldn't afford. It was really fun. We got here, and the weeds were 6 foot tall. There were snakes all over the place. The house didn't have any power. There was no running water. I thought my parents had lost their mind.
Right. It didn't look like this.
It did not look like this, no. But every year has gotten better, and it's fun. It's been a wonderful experience, a wonderful adventure.
It certainly turned into something quite amazing for your family and for the entire community.
Well, thank
and
you.
so you grew up probably running in the fields.
I did. I arrived here at 11 years old, and quickly was enrolled in the local junior high and then high school. Did my undergraduate stint at William & Mary, so I'm a Williamsburger by adoption.
There you go. So you're growing up at a vineyard with restaurants and all of the hustle and bustle around you. Was it automatically known to you that you would take over, that this was your path?
Take over? No, but I was very interested in wine. Like I said, I grew up in Europe, so wine was always a part of the table. I realized that because my parents were putting all of their savings into driving the business, that I had to figure out some way to afford college. So I put myself through William & Mary by giving tours and tastings in the wine shop, and by necessity had to throw away my introversion so I could learn public speaking. And I had a ball. I really liked it. And so one thing led to another. I ended up being involved in our wine festivals, our special events on property. Ended up doing an internship in Bordeaux, which was a ball. Spent some time in California taking an MBA level class out there, and then got involved in upper management, and here I am.
You took over from your father in 2011, so 4 years now, and so you've seen, as the head of the company, the challenges of a seasonal business like the winery. What has that been like the last 4 years or so?
Well, fundamentally, you hit upon the seasonality is something that is intrinsic and inherent to the wine business. We are farmers, ultimately. We grow grapes, we make the wine, we bottle it, and everything else that goes on. But fundamentally, it's what Mother Nature does out in the vineyard that sets the bench for what's to come. It's a long-term planning business. You can't speed things up. We're making decisions this year for vineyards that will be planted next year that will be yielding fruit 4 or 5 years later that will be made into wine that won't come to market until 10 years after the initial decision. So it's all about the long term.
It really is. It's planning to the nth degree.
Absolutely.
As far as any advice for entrepreneurs, maybe aspiring entrepreneurs or those just trying to grow their company to another level, what kind of advice would you give to them?
First and foremost, be passionate about what you're doing. Believe in it with every ounce of your being. Share that passion with the people that are making things happen internally. Share that passion with the people that are not necessarily part of your organization, but who can then in turn be ambassadors for what it is that you're doing. Try to go back from being in the trees to seeing the forest and back again quickly. Don't be afraid to take small calculated risks that you can measure and have fun.
There's a lot of wine.
This helps, no doubt about it.
Patrick, thank you very much.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Learn how a passion for fresh and local food led one couple to form their own business. We'll give you a taste of Hampton Roads next. Welcome back to Hampton Roads Business Weekly and the one thing entrepreneurs do that lead to their success. So thrilled to introduce you to Lisa Hammaker, the co-founder of Taste Tidewater Tours. The business is about 4 years old, but you've had quite a bit of growth over the last 4 years. So first, Lisa, talk to us about how you got your start as an entrepreneur.
Certainly. So my husband Rex and I met our first day at Cox High School, been together 38 years, but in 2006 we had a health scare and did a complete lifestyle change and started eating fresh and local and realized that this was one of the best food sheds in the entire country between the seafood, the agriculture, and now the award-winning wineries and craft breweries. Really the mother of American cuisine was birthed right here, and we wanted to start showcasing the region ourselves, so we bought a coach and got started.
You created this solution to something you saw that wasn't being met, like a need that wasn't being met.
Absolutely.
So how has that growth happened? What kind of reaction did you get from people, and what kinds of surprises did you find along the way?
It's been an interesting journey. Initially we thought that being a tourist area, it would be primarily tourists as our clients, when in fact, as it turned out, 90% of our clients are locals. We realize that there's 1.5 million people here who enjoy learning what's right in their own backyard, the abundance of coastal Virginia.
So as far as some challenges in growth, as more people learn about your service and also learn about the places that you visit, what are the challenges in meeting that demand?
So one of the challenges is reaching the audience, and initially we had spent quite a bit of money in advertising. And yet we've been adapting then because of the locals being our primary client base. How do you reach the locals, and then what are they interested in?
Take us on a tour of maybe one of your most popular rides.
Well, we are edutainment. We're not the party bus. It's a lot of fun, but you will be picked up from a convenient location, and the coach is limited to 12 for an intimate experience. And then we'll go to at least 3 locations, all of which have been prearranged. We work very closely with our brewery, winery, and restaurant partners. So we're going to go over craft beer 101, wine 101, history, styles, production, how to pair with local cuisine. We do personal palate chats, so we talk about what Cheryl likes to eat, and then we can then pair that with beers we feel like you'd probably enjoy, and wines, and then cuisine as well. Typically you get that VIP backstage experience that you just cannot get by just driving there.
Right. You mentioned that advertising didn't work, didn't reach the people you were trying to reach, but that social media actually was something that worked. How did you make that work for your company?
So social media, I feel, is really one of the biggest reasons for our success. We primarily use forms of Facebook, which then automatically goes to Twitter, and then Instagram. So providing consistent quality content, we feel, has stood us well.
Content is one of those things. People hear content is king, make content, create content, and so maybe they're wondering what exactly that means. But I know you were saying to me that content is just like behind the scenes at a brewery or a winery. Is that right?
So for us, we provide reviews of the different restaurants, for instance, who feature the local cuisine, local beers, local wines, and get that exposure. In addition to providing, frankly, as I say, it's eye candy, that the pictures alone will just sell. People want to see, well, where are they now? What are they doing? And then providing information that is up to the minute, and again, that they might not get in other ways, and then access, because we're behind the scenes and we get access that others would not. So giving the potential clients out there that look behind the curtain.
Right. The segment is entitled The One Thing. What would you say is the one thing that has led to your success?
I would absolutely say that it is social media. We have wonderful repeat business and referral business, but really it's organic web searches. That's where we get so many of our bookings.
Lisa Hamaker, congratulations. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
That wraps up another edition of Hampton Roads Business Weekly. Like us on Facebook and Instagram at HR Business Weekly.
There, you will find segments from previous shows, plus some great behind-the-scenes pictures and videos. For Hampton Roads Business Weekly, I'm Zach Miller.
And I'm Cheryl Tan. We'll see you next week.
Hampton Roads Business Weekly, sponsored by Regent University and produced by ABC 13.